Listen, there's an old saying in couples therapy, most couples have one fight over 40 years. One psychiatrist interviewed a guy and said 30 years of repetition, misnamed experience. This is our vicious circle. Why can't we get out of this damn thing? Why don't we resolve this thing once and for all? If you're really smart, you can see we literally have the same fight over and over. I sometimes say to Belinda, let's switch. We did this. We're both couples therapists, so we're kind of dappy. We said, hey, let's keep this fight going, but let's switch roles. I'll be you, you be me. We knew each other's roles by heart. It's like, oh my God, why do we keep having the same fight? Because you are caught in a loop. Couples therapy, which is a subset of family therapy, was born, believe it or not, out of cybernetics, the study of computers. And people talked about a recursive negative feedback loop, which is an engineering term. And in RLT, we teach people to say the more, the more. The ubiquitous one, I'll do it straight up gender. The more he distances, the more she pursues, and the more she pursues, the more he distances. So what is your the more, the more? The more I do this, the more I evoke that, the more I get of that, the more intense my this. It is a circular feedback loop that literally feeds on itself and grows. The more, the more. The more he acts like a baby, the more she overfunctions. And the more she overfunctions, the less competent he becomes. The angrier she gets, the more accommodating he gets. And the more placating he gets, the angrier she gets. There are millions of these patterns. Many of them are parent-child patterns, but not always. And we talk about complementary patterns and symmetrical patterns. The more X, the more Y. The more he rages, the more she placates. The opposite. Or symmetrical patterns. The more the X, the more X. I'll make it a gay couple. The more he distances, the more he distances. Take a look at your pattern, the more, the more. And ask yourself, is it symmetrical, matching, or is it complementary? The opposite. That's an interesting exercise, isn't it? Belinda and I are symmetrical, which makes for a hot couple. We're both fighters. Here's a little tip. I'll teach you how to think like a couples therapist. If you are caught in a symmetrical pattern, somebody needs to go complementary. Somebody has to turn around and go, honey, let's make peace. I'm sorry. Somebody has to come off of the symmetrical. So the cure, the way out of a symmetrical vicious circle is for somebody to flip and go complementary. It is saying, okay, if you're in a complementary pattern, get symmetrical. So I rage, I placate, I rage, I placate, I rage, I placate, I rage. You know what? I'm fed up with your anger. You got to do something about your anger. So that's just a little tip. It's not foolproof, and it may shake things up, in which case you'll need some help from a therapist, but it will change the pattern. The more, the more. It is your, what we call adaptive child stance. It's the, forgive me, but dysfunctional strategy, relationship stance that you learned as a kid growing up that you're now bringing into your relationship. Fight, flight, or fix. Fight for you. Flight, I'm out of here. I'm shutting this down. And you can flee and be 6 inches in front of the person. That's called stonewalling. Done. And fix. I've been talking about fix for over 30 years. I've been gratified that the ethnobiologists and somatic people have added, everybody talks about the knee-jerk fight or flight response when you're triggered in danger. If now they've added fawn from the animal kingdom. The lion comes, oh, let me lick your paws. Please don't eat me. I'll groom you. Please don't eat me. And that's fawning. And in human interaction, that's fixing. It's codependence. It's not mature, let me see what I can do to make things better. It's anxiety driven. I'll do anything to, you know, regulate you. Fight, flight, or fix. Be honest with yourself in your intimate sexual relationship. When you're triggered, where do you tend to go? And then put that together with where your partner tends to go. And guess what? You've got the more, the more. The more I fight, the more they shut down. The more they shut down, the more I fight, etc. You want out? Shift your stance. If you're a fighter, be vulnerable. If you're endlessly vulnerable, stand up for yourself. If you're a fleer, take a breath, roll up your sleeves, and lean back into the relationship and deal with it. So the way this pattern breaks up is when you do something different, which is different from what most of us are usually trying to do. I'll be happy if you shift on your side of the seesaw. Well, get off your ass and shift yourself. And here's another little tip. If you're thinking about shifting, I was driving down the road and I saw a bumper sticker and I loved it as a couples therapist, but it turned out to be Mahatma Gandhi. Here's the quote: "We must be the change we wish for." So here's a little tip to break up the more, rather than trying to get the son of a gun on the other side of the seas, to change, take a breath and be what you're asking for. If you want more sex, guess what? Be sexy. If you want more fun, have some humor. Offer what it is that you're asking for. If you want more softness and compassion, try giving it. Not a guarantee and not a quid pro quo. I'll give it expecting that you give it. No. Selflessly. Let me role model. Let me throw into this relationship the kind of energy that I would like more of. I'm not going to complain or manipulate or control or get you to do it. I'm going to get off my high horse and I'm going to do it. So, the more. Fight, flight, or fix. You, your partner. Identify that. Change it up. See what happens. If you're symmetrical, do the opposite. If you're complementary, do the symmetrical. And try giving what you've been cudgeling your brains trying to get from them. Instead of trying to get it from them, try giving it to them and see what happens. Mix it up. Rigidity is our enemy and play is our friend. So who knows how this will go, but play. Change up what you're doing in that vicious circle and see what happens. Terry Real, the founder of Relational Life Therapy. If you found that helpful, stay tuned to this channel and be well, everyone.